Listen up, champion. There's an invisible battlefield inside your mind right now. One that social media won't show you. Not the kind with weapons or violence, but the kind that wages war on your peace. The kind where your pulse spikes when someone triggers you, where your mind races when left on red, where a single comment can derail your entire week. Yet outwardly you perform, you mask, you say everything's good, but internally you're suffocating. This is the mental health crisis almost everyone is secretly battling. And here's the harsh reality. Most people surrender. They react impulsively. They have meltdowns. They crumble. Not because they lack strength, but because nobody taught them how to stay grounded when life hits different. You've witnessed those individuals, the ones who navigate toxicity without breaking, who maintain their center even when surrounded by chaos. They're not emotionally numb. They're not disconnected. They're simply unbreakable. And no, they weren't born with this superpower. They developed it through practice. And that's exactly what this video delivers. You're about to discover 9 ancient Stoic principles that will give you bulletproof emotional resilience. Not fake confidence, not surface-level composure, but authentic inner strength. The type that doesn't require external validation, revenge, or recognition. And here's your foundation. We endure more through overthinking than through reality. That's what Seneca understood. We catastrophize, we overanalyze, we mentally rehearse trauma that hasn't even materialized. So to achieve emotional invincibility, we must stop allowing our anxious thoughts to control our narrative. Because here's what's real. You don't have to absorb every energy people project onto you. You don't have to engage with every provocation. You don't have to internalize every emotion just because it shows up uninvited. What you need is self-discipline. Not the rigid kind that numbs you, but the liberating kind that empowers you. Stoicism doesn't suppress your humanity. It teaches you not to be enslaved by your reactions. It helps you rise above the toxicity. It grants you that rare, sacred ability to be surrounded by negativity and still choose serenity. It shows you how to walk away without guilt, to stay silent and still triumph. And most crucially, it teaches you how to win the battle nobody witnesses. You're not flawed for feeling intensely, but you'll remain trapped if you never learn to regulate when necessary. And that's what we're breaking down. These 9 Stoic practices won't transform you into someone else. They'll uncover the version of you that's been buried under reactivity, confusion, and external pressure. So, if you've ever thought, I just can't let things slide. Why am I so triggered? I wish I could stay zen like successful people. Then this video is your blueprint. Consume every moment. Don't skip ahead. Smash that like button if this already resonates. Drop your insights in the comments. And if you're ready to become your most powerful self, hit subscribe immediately and share this with someone who's struggling too. I want you to comment this power statement. My emotions serve me. I don't serve them. Let's dive in. Point 1. Respond like it's business, not personal. Even when it feels personal, someone disrespects your character. Someone gaslights you. Someone violates your boundaries right to your face, and your chest constricts. The automatic response. Defend your honor, clap back, set the record straight. But here's what Stoicism reveals. If you are disturbed by anything external, the suffering is not due to the situation itself, but to your interpretation of it. Marcus Aurelius, translation. What damages you isn't always the actual event, but how you processed it. Most people personalize everything because their self-worth is unstable. If someone challenges them, they feel attacked. If someone rejects them, they feel inadequate. If someone criticizes their work, they feel worthless. But the Stoic strategy here is separate your identity from the moment, not because it's comfortable, but because it's essential for mental wellness. When someone projects their trauma, it's revealing their internal state, not your value. They're exposing their dysfunction, not your character. So instead of emotional reactivity, create space, breathe deeply, observe the situation objectively. Ask yourself, is this genuinely about me? What if they're transferring their own wounds? Will this impact me in 48 hours? That gap between the trigger and your response, that's where liberation exists. Because once you stop personalizing interactions, you unlock next-level emotional intelligence. You become someone who listens mindfully, communicates intentionally, and doesn't react just to react. You don't shrink. You don't explode. You simply witness and then choose how to respond with wisdom, not wounds. Yes, it's challenging initially, but the more you practice, the more influential you become. You're not avoiding confrontation. You're mastering yourself. And here's something profound. When you stop making everything about you, you actually gain authority over you. That's the Stoic paradox. So next time someone attempts to drag you into drama, into conflict, into emotional quicksand, treat it like business, even if it feels personal. To eliminate emotional urgency, think in strategic mode. You experience a surge, rage, panic, betrayal. It overwhelms you instantly. And before your wisdom activates, your ego responds. You fire off that text. You burn that bridge. You make that decision. You have regrets within minutes. That's what emotional urgency does. It steals your power. It launches you from trigger to reaction without creating space for reflection. But here's what Stoicism teaches. Make it your practice to remember that people act wrongly unconsciously. Marcus Aurelius. Decelerate, not just your words, but your assumptions, your anger, your response time. When someone says something that cuts deep, ask yourself, what if this doesn't require immediate action? What if I gave this 48 hours before responding? You don't need to address every emotion the second it surfaces. Your strength lies in the strategic pause. See, our minds are rapid, but wisdom is deliberate. And if you want to be emotionally bulletproof, you have to kill the speed that destroys your peace. Picture this. Someone triggers you. You pause. You don't speak. You center yourself. You step back. You process it. By the time you decide how to respond, you realize it wasn't even worth your energy. That's evolution. Emotion creates false urgency, but urgency is the enemy of clarity. What you feel in the first 30 seconds is often just mental noise. But if you wait, if you shift into strategic mode, you give your consciousness time to filter that noise. You recognize most situations don't deserve a reaction. Most conflicts are designed to trap you. Most emotions are just temporary weather patterns. And this doesn't mean you're passive. It means you're tactical. It means you're prioritizing your peace over your pride. Because true power is when you can feel fire building in your core and still speak like you're made of ice. Let them be reactive. Let them create chaos. Let them rush to judgment. You move with intention. You speak after reflection. You respond with purpose, not panic. That's emotional maturity. And that's what makes you untouchable. So next time your emotions demand immediate attention, don't meet them at the door. Let them wait. Let them settle. Let them cool down. Then you decide what action to take on your timeline. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I slow down to stay in power. 3. End the need to justify yourself. Few feel misrepresented. You feel criticized, and your immediate impulse, let me clarify my position. Let me defend my choices. Let me prove I'm not what they assume. But here's the reality. Stoicism doesn't demand you be understood. It demands you be at peace with being. Misunderstood? Stop wasting time debating what integrity looks like. Embody it. Marcus Aurelius. You don't owe anyone a performance. Most people demanding explanations aren't seeking to understand you. They're hunting for vulnerabilities. And even if you deliver the perfect defense, they'll still distort it. That's why the practice of not justifying yourself is transformative. It doesn't mean you're avoiding accountability. It means you've learned to let your actions communicate louder than your explanations. You don't justify your growth, you demonstrate it. You don't defend your boundaries, you maintain them. You don't explain every decision, you own it. Because the truth is, if someone genuinely respects you, they don't need justification. And if they don't respect you, no justification will ever satisfy them. So why exhaust your energy trying to earn validation in a society that profits from your insecurity? People will construct narratives about you regardless of what you say. Let them misunderstand, let them speculate, let them gossip. And you keep evolving, you keep healing, you keep progressing. Every moment you spend justifying yourself to someone who's already formed their opinion is a moment stolen from your growth. So communicate less, accomplish more. Let your lifestyle be your statement. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect. Because when you stop needing to justify yourself, you finally become liberated, free from seeking permission, free from chasing approval, free from being emotionally manipulated by others' opinions. You know your truth, you know your values, and you don't need an audience to feel validated. So stop diminishing yourself to make others comfortable. Stop translating your worth into words. Your peace doesn't need translation. 4. Create internal boundaries they can't penetrate. You enter a space and sense the energy shift. Someone gives you dirty looks. Someone undermines your contribution. You maintain composure, but something inside you fractures. You go home replaying it endlessly. That's because most people navigate life emotionally unprotected, wide open, raw, vulnerable in destructive ways. You might hide it, but internally, every glance, every word, every rejection impacts too deeply. And that's not weakness, that's being human. But here's what Stoicism offers. Boundaries, not walls made of bitterness, but boundaries made of inner strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have authority over your mind, not external circumstances. Recognize this, and you will find strength." Simply put, they can say whatever they want, but they can't access your core unless you give them the key. So how do you build these internal boundaries? You decide that your peace is non-negotiable. You stop outsourcing your self-worth to people who don't even value themselves. You stop seeking emotional validation from people who don't prioritize your well-being. The boundary is constructed in silence. It's built every time you don't respond to manipulation. Every time you let someone's negativity slide off your soul like water off glass. Every time you tell yourself that energy doesn't belong to me. You don't have to harden your heart. You just have to guard your spirit. And no, this isn't about pretending things don't affect you. It's about choosing what gets access to your mental real estate. Because here's the truth, your mind is sacred. Territory Not everyone deserves entry. Not everyone deserves a reaction. Not everyone deserves the key to your emotions. So start implementing this. When someone tries to guilt trip you, visualize your boundary. When someone gaslights you, feel the boundary. When someone belittles you, let the boundary absorb it so you don't have to. The world won't stop testing you, but that doesn't mean you have to keep bleeding. You get stronger every time you let nonsense pass by without internalizing it. You don't stop caring, you just stop collapsing. And the more you strengthen that boundary inside you, the more you become someone who cannot be broken from the outside. Let them talk, let them judge, let them probe. You've got boundaries now, and they're built from peace, truth, and self-discipline. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I protect my energy with invisible boundaries. 5. Prepare for disrespect. Like an athlete trains for competition, nobody warns you about this, but if you want emotional mastery, you need to anticipate disrespect because it's inevitable from friends, from colleagues, from strangers online, even from people you've supported the most. And when it arrives, you have two choices. 1. Be shocked, wounded, and reactive. 2. Be prepared, centered, and composed. Stoicism chooses the second. When you begin each day, remind yourself, the people I encounter today will be self-centered, manipulative, jealous, ungrateful. Marcus Aurelius. Why would he suggest something so negative? Because it's not negativity, it's mental preparation. You don't prepare for harmony, you prepare for chaos. So that when harmony is disrupted, you don't crumble with it. You want to be unshakable. Expect the betrayals. Expect to be misrepresented. Expect to be treated unjustly. Then when it occurs, you won't be rattled. You'll respond like an athlete who's already trained for this scenario. Because here's the truth nobody wants to acknowledge. Disrespect is inevitable. It's not about you. It's a test. And the ones who pass aren't the loudest, not the most aggressive. They're the most centered. You don't win by firing back. You win by not being moved at all. Think of it this way. Someone throws negativity at you. You could return it. Or you could let it hit your armor and fall to the ground without impact. Your armor is constructed from self-worth, from knowing your value doesn't diminish just because someone else can't perceive it. You don't have to raise your voice to prove yourself. You don't have to explain that you deserve respect. You just stand firm like an athlete in a storm. Every time someone disrespects you, train your response. Stay quiet, stay tall, stay centered. You'll notice something. People who can't shake. You will either start respecting you or get frustrated and distance themselves. Either way, you win. And no, it won't always feel fair. But that's why you're training. Not for comfort, not for praise, but for mastery of self. That's what makes you emotionally untouchable. 6. Stop chasing good feelings. Focus on clear thinking. You feel defeated. You're overwhelmed. Maybe you're anxious, heartbroken, or burned out. So, like most people, you seek relief, a distraction, a motivational podcast, a scroll through social media, a temporary fix that makes you feel better momentarily, but leaves you more depleted afterward. Why? Because you don't need to feel better, you need to think better. Very little is required to create a fulfilling life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Marcus Aurelius. Emotions aren't the problem. But depending on emotions to feel okay, that's where we struggle. The Stoics understood this deeply. Feelings are waves, but thought is the anchor. You can't control every emotion that hits you, but you can train your thinking to prevent drowning. That means, instead of asking, "Why do I feel this way?" ask, "What thought created this feeling?" Maybe you're frustrated because you expected different from someone. Maybe you're disappointed because you believed something would turn out differently. In both cases, it's the thought that generated the pain. So rather than numbing the emotion, transform the mental framework behind it. The moment you shift from feeling focused to thought focused, you unlock emotional clarity. You stop chasing highs. You stop fearing lows. You become the observer of your mind, not the victim of it. Here's a practical Stoic approach. When you experience an intense emotion, don't try to escape it. Don't try to fix it. Sit with it. Identify the thought behind it. Then ask, is this thought helpful or just loud? Most of our suffering isn't caused by reality. It's caused by unexamined thoughts we never question. You don't need another emotional escape. You need mental discipline. Train yourself to think clearly, and peace will follow naturally. Train yourself to think slowly, and your anxiety will lose its power. Train yourself to think deeply, and your emotions will start serving you, not controlling you. Feelings are data, but thinking is the navigation system. So stop chasing the next thing that makes you feel better, and start building the kind of mind that makes you be better. That's what Stoicism is fundamentally about. 7. Don't turn every feeling into a story. You wake up anxious. You feel off, low, irritated, and immediately you start analyzing. What's wrong with me? Why am I experiencing this? Something terrible must be coming. But here's the truth nobody mentions. Not every feeling needs to be significant. Some emotions are just passing energy, biochemical changes, whether in your nervous system. You don't always have to create a narrative around it. Epictetus said, "It's not circumstances that upset us, but our interpretations of circumstances." And the same applies to our internal states. We suffer more, not because we feel too much, but because we overanalyze what we feel. You might be fatigued. You might be hungry. You might just be human. But instead your mind starts creating stories. I'm not achieving enough. Something's wrong with me. I'm failing at life. That's not emotion. That's judgment layered on emotion. The Stoic practice is straightforward. Observe, but don't attach stories. You can experience sadness without labeling yourself broken. You can feel anxiety without predicting disaster. You can feel frustration without making it a character defect. Treat your emotions like weather patterns passing by. Notice them, accept them, but don't create meaning around them. Because when you do, when you stop turning every feeling into a dramatic narrative, you gain freedom. You realize some feelings arrive without reason, and some feelings don't deserve a reaction. You're allowed to feel off and still be okay. That's not emotional numbness. That's emotional wisdom. You can say, "I feel low today," and that's acceptable. "I don't know why I'm experiencing this, but I'll let it pass. This doesn't define me." Detach from the story, and your emotions lose their power to drag you into mental chaos. This is how you build resilience. Not by being emotionless, but by refusing to let every emotion rewrite your identity. Let your feelings exist. Let them move through you. But don't hand them the pen to write your story. That's your responsibility. You choose what defines you, and guess what? A passing feeling is never the complete truth. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I experience emotions, but I don't let them define me. 8. Intentionally seek silence and discomfort. Most people can't sit still. The moment silence arrives, they reach for stimulation, music, phones, social media, anything to fill the void. But that void is exactly where strength develops. The truth is silence and discomfort are not enemies. They are training facilities. Epictetus said, "Challenges reveal a person's character." So when trouble comes, think of it as training. Consider this: you want to be emotionally unshakable, then you must intentionally step into spaces that most people avoid. Here's why. When you practice sitting in silence, you become aware of your thoughts, your authentic thoughts, not just the ones buried under distractions. When you practice facing discomfort, whether it's hunger, loneliness, or rejection, you build a tolerance that no inspirational quote can provide. Because here's the reality most ignore. Growth doesn't emerge from comfort. Peace doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from walking through the fire without fear. Not to suffer, but to strengthen. Spend 10 minutes daily in silence. No phone, no music, no distractions, just you and your breath. Your thoughts will rebel at first, but over time they settle down. And when they do, you'll discover clarity. Then practice discomfort. Take cold showers. Say no when you want to people please. Sit with cravings instead of instantly satisfying them. Speak truth even when your voice trembles. These small acts rewire your nervous system. They communicate, "I don't need comfort to feel secure." They teach you that discomfort won't destroy you. It refines you. And once you're no longer afraid of silence or pain, you become untouchable because no one can manipulate you with loneliness, pressure, or chaos. You've already trained in it. That's what Stoics practiced. They rehearsed poverty, rejection, hunger, stillness, not because they were masochistic, but because they wanted to be prepared. So practice being uncomfortable intentionally, not for show, not for punishment, but because every time you endure without panic, you build the emotional resilience others only pretend to have. 9. Analyze every emotional breakdown like a scientist. You lose control. You say something in anger. You spiral. What do you do afterward? Most people either feel guilty or worse, ignore it completely. But emotional mastery isn't about never falling. It's about learning from every stumble. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a person perfected without trials." So when your emotions take control, study it. Become a scientist of your own psychology. Ask, what triggered me? What belief did I hold in that moment? What could I have done differently? Treat each emotional outburst not as failure but as information. Because every time you react, you're being shown a part of yourself that still needs attention, still needs growth. Let's say someone said something disrespectful and you exploded. Instead of justifying it, analyze it. Maybe your emotional trigger wasn't their words. Maybe it was the belief that you're not respected unless you respond aggressively. That's not their fault. That's your inner work. This is the habit that creates authentic transformation. Every reaction becomes a lesson. Every mistake becomes a message. And you must document it. Yes, actually journal it. When you review your emotional patterns like a scientist, you'll see exactly what environments throw you off, what people trigger you most, what thoughts cause internal chaos. Awareness is power because what you understand, you can transform. And soon, you'll start catching yourself before the reaction. You'll feel the emotion rising, but instead of becoming it, you'll observe it. You'll say, "Oh, this pattern again." And then breathe, pause, redirect. That's how Stoicism functions. It's not about perfection. It's about progress with precision. You don't become untouchable by ignoring your emotions. You become untouchable by understanding them better than anyone else ever will. So stop judging yourself for slipping and start studying your patterns like your peace depends on it, because it does. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Every reaction is my roadmap to greater mastery. Conclusion: your silent revolution in a world addicted to chaos, rage, and noise. Calm is a revolution. It's a quiet transformation that happens within you. You've now learned 9 Stoic principles that, if practiced consistently, won't just protect your peace, they'll transform you, not into someone emotionless, but into someone powerful, because you'll stop being controlled by every trigger. You'll stop handing your emotions to people who don't deserve them. You'll stop collapsing every time life gets intense. Instead, you'll move with stillness. You'll respond with wisdom. You'll carry silence like a weapon, and people will notice. They'll wonder why they can't provoke you. They'll be unsettled by how peaceful you are. They'll feel something they don't expect to feel from calm people. Intimidation. That's the power of inner peace. It doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It simply exists. You don't need to dominate others. You need to master yourself. And when you do, you'll become the most powerful kind of person, the one who feels deeply but is governed by reason, the one who walks through storms with dry feet, the one who never reacts, only responds. Let the world chase attention. You choose discipline. Let the world fall apart. You stay whole. This is your new operating system. Like, comment, and share with someone who needs this transformation, and subscribe to the channel. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. My calm is my